bang bang into the room. Why you gotta be so rude? I'm only human too, and all of me loves all of you. And I'm so fancy, won't you stay?
What's up, everybody? We back with another topic, and this week's topic is advice to parents. So, to parents of children, teens, young adults who are questioning their gender identity is the following. 1. Your validation is the most important validation that somebody can have. And the reason why your child gets so upset when you mess up pronouns or name or any of that stuff is because prior to starting medical transition, their identity is based solely on how people portray them. And it starts with you. If you're not getting it correct, how do you expect them to go out into the world and be seen as who they are? And that's why they get so upset. And it may piss you off and hurt and difficult for us too. But that's the honest truth. It starts with you because you're important and your opinion matters, and your correct gendering is the key turning point in them being sure that their identity is true. Because who better to confirm your identity than the people who raised you and birthed you? Okay. Number 2. I get that pronouns and names are hard, and I get that for X amount of years you've known them as this person, and now they want to be completely different. But in reality, they're not different at all. They're the same person. Their name and their pronouns are different. And what I've always said since before I changed my pronouns and my name, what I've always said is, it's not hard for people to change other people's last names when they get married. But for some reason, it's a huge thing when trans people come out and want their name to confirm their gender identity. Why is that? It's because of everybody's own internalized transphobia, is what it comes down to. Because we see marriage as a good thing. So Betty Smith, that now became Betty Johnson. Congratulations, Betty Johnson! It's not a hard thing for people to grasp, apparently. P. Diddy changed his name 18,000 times. He was P. Diddy, then he was Puff Daddy, then he was Sean Combs, then he was Diddy Combs, then he was D-I-D-D-Y, and then he was Puffy, then he was whoever. And he changed his name 18,000 times, and nobody ever said, you know, maybe you should stop changing your nickname. Why? 3. Listen to them. That is probably the biggest thing. Listen to them. We, as your children, know that you have no clue what we're talking about. You have no idea. You're going into this blind. And when we tell you, it blindsides you. 90% of the time, whether you knew or not. You're like, oh God, what comes next? And there's no reason for that. If you would just listen to us, ask us questions, initiate conversation about it, it would go a lot easier, because we do know, or we have access to people who do know. So if you are curious, ask. I promise you it'll make your relationship better with your child. Because the more interested you seem, the more they're going to want to come to you about things and keep you a part of the journey. 4. Do not disown them. All you should want as a parent is that your kid is happy and healthy and living their life in the happiest, healthiest, most fulfilling way to them. And it shouldn't matter if they're trans or not. So if you have a problem with that, I don't know why you had kids in the first place. Because it doesn't make sense to me. Because 99.9% of people don't care when they go for the ultrasound and, oh my god, your baby is, do you want to know? Whether you want to know or you don't want to know, sure, everybody has a preference of the baby gender that they would want. But at the end of the day, most people who are having babies are like, I want a girl, but it wouldn't matter to me if it was a boy, because regardless, as long as it's happy and healthy, I'm going to be happy. And regardless, I'm going to love this baby no matter what, because that's what parents do. They love their children. They support their children. And if you didn't care then what the gender of the baby was, why should it matter 10, 12, 15, 17, 19, 24, 50 years down the road? It shouldn't. So, it's not a big deal. 5. It's normal for you to be scared of what's to come next. I promise you, you're not going to be more scared than we are. It is the most terrifying process to not have any idea. You can watch 3,000 YouTube videos. You can listen to 500,000 interviews, articles, audiobooks, whatever doctors talk about the process. You can talk to 50 trillion trans people, but everybody's experience is different. No two are the same. And therefore, you walk into the unknown when this whole process starts. And that's terrifying. And yes, you may be scared for the safety of your child, which is understandable because our country is a shit show right now. But you have to realize that your kid is way more scared than you are. Because at the end of the day, you're not the one that has to walk out of the house and deal with all those people. And you're not the one who's going to attempt to change their gender around everybody they know. You're also not the person who is going to potentially put hormones into their body to change themselves. Which is terrifying in itself because you have no idea what's going to happen. Sure, they give you, here's this, and this that are going to change, but in what way? How? Is it going to be satisfying for your dysphoria? You have no idea until things start to change and it starts to happen. And I can promise you that most people aren't going to talk to you about it. You're our parents. We're not going to talk to you about how scared we are because we know that you're terrified. And so, don't expect that. Don't expect that. 6. Your own expectations of what our lives should be like are going to set you up for disappointment. And it's only going to be detrimental to your child. Due to your kid having to go through all of this emotional progression to be a genuine, happy human being, it takes a lot out of you. Therefore, things may not be going in the best direction when they come out. when they start to figure it all out, when they start to transition, if they choose to do so, medically, naturally, whatever it may be. Things are going to be rough. It gets worse before it gets better. But let them live their life at the pace and in the direction that they so choose. My life has veered so far from the path that I was on that it's unbelievable. But I look at it this way. My life veered at age 21. I had my midlife crisis at age 21. Everybody else that I know is going to have their midlife crisis at 40, 45, 50 and want to start completely over because they're unhappy. Because they need to refigure out who they are as a person. But as a trans human being, you have to refigure out who you are along every step of the way. The beginning of your transition, you're one person. As you start to go through the mental aspects of coming to terms with that, you are another person. When you come out to people, you're another person. If you choose to medically transition, when hormones are introduced into your body, you become a new person. And not new in the sense of everything's different. It's new as in the sense of you have to refine yourself. And sometimes you have to redirect your interests and your circle and your friends and how you communicate because things are just different. And so you're constantly growing and changing in a way that is not all going to come crashing down at the same time at 45, because by that time you should have all this stuff figured out. If you transition when you're young, then when you get to that age, you already know, because you had time to take that mental break to figure it all out. So let that happen. That is the best way to make sure that they're happy and healthy. And number 7, your kid, there's nothing wrong with your child for being trans. There's nothing wrong with them. They are trying to be who they were destined to be. People are going to try to tear them down and tell them that there is something wrong with them, that they are sick, they are demented, that they're transgender because they like to touch little children, etc., etc. But you have to have a shield of armor, because people are just dumb. They're ignorant, and they don't care to learn or listen. And those people aren't worth your time. They are still your child. They are still amazing and individual and unique and beautiful, and nothing else matters. So don't forget that. But overall, just be supportive and care. Check up on them. If they don't live with you, check up on them every now and again. I promise you it'll mean more than they let on. That's all I have. I hope you guys had a great week. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. And I will see you guys next week.